200 PM BSTThey have yet to meet as opposing head coaches in their first Red River Showdown, but Texas coach Tom Herman has already accomplished something his rival, Oklahoma coach Lincoln Riley, has not. Herman beat Iowa State. After last week's shocking loss to the Cyclones, number 12 Oklahoma 41 is under enormous pressure to win out just to have a shot at reaching the college football playoff. Texas 32, meanwhile, is undefeated in Big 12 play entering Saturday's game at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. ESPN and ESPN app, 3:30 p.m. ET, we've got to quit worrying about the expectations of the outside world and all that and just go do the absolute best that we can, Riley said. Will the balance of power shift in the Big Ten? Which Power 5 conference will have its heart broken? Are we headed to a rematch of epic proportions? Here are a dozen predictions for the second half of the season. Oklahoma and Texas arrive at the Cotton Bowl with new head coaches. Here's how Lincoln Riley and Tom Herman have navigated their first seasons. Week 7 features no games between ranked opponents, but don't be fooled, there's still plenty on the line, and potential upsets loom in every conference, starting with the Big 12. For example, Texas has won 6 of the last 9 meetings between these teams when the Longhorns are unranked and the Sooners are ranked. A Texas win on Saturday would knock OU out of the playoff race for good. Number 6 TCU 50, the lone undefeated team in the Big 12, should be wary of its trip to Kansas State, especially after an emotional home win against West Virginia. Not convinced? Consider this history lesson. From ESPN Stats Information, this is the latest into a season in which we've had no matchups of a ranked team since Week 12 of 2009, the weekend before Thanksgiving. That week, 4 ranked teams lost to unranked opponents, including 2 teams that were ranked in the top 15. Who else is on upset watch in Week 7? The following games are listed in order of most likely to least likely to produce an upset play, but Lincoln Riley and Tom Herman will make their first appearance as head coaches in one of college football's most storied rivalries. Will Oklahoma bounce back from a stunning loss last week, or will Texas deal OU a crushing blow to its playoff hopes? Georgia Tech 31 at number 11 Miami 40 Saturday on ABC and ESPN app, 3:30 p.m. This is a critical game in the ACC's Coastal Division race. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets could be 40 and ranked if they had converted a 2-point conversion against Tennessee in their opener. Undefeated Miami earned an important win over rival Florida State in Tallahassee last week, but the Hurricanes are hurting. Receiver Amon Richards could be out with an aggravated hamstring injury, starting right guard Nevon Donaldson is questionable ankle, and top running back Mark Walton is out for the season after injuring his ankle against the Seminoles. Georgia Tech has won 3 straight since losing to the Vols, a game that Tech coach Paul Johnson said his team kind of gift-wrapped and gave away. Still, he's not quite sure what to make of the Yellow Jackets, calling his team a little bit of an enigma. Georgia Tech would become an interesting proposition with a victory over the Hurricanes. The Yellow Jackets have the most difficult remaining schedule in FBS, according to ESPN's Football Power Index, with games against number 2 Clemson, number 15 Virginia Tech and number 4 Georgia. Still to play, FPI says Georgia Tech has a 26.1% chance to win. Number 12 Oklahoma 41 vs. Texas 32 Saturday in Dallas on ESPN and ESPN app, 3:30 p.m. If Oklahoma loses, it's done as far as the CFP goes. The Sooners are already on the outside looking in, but this would be the final dagger in their playoff hopes, and it's only the midpoint of the season. Oklahoma's loss last week was damaging for the Big 12 as a whole, as the league's chances to produce a champion with 1 or fewer losses fell from 67% to 32%, according to FPI. FPI says with a win, Oklahoma's chances of winning the Big 12 will rise from 43% to 48%, but with a loss, those chances will fall to about 23%. Number 6 TCU 50 at Kansas State 32 Saturday on FS1, noon at One of the secrets to the Horned Frogs' success is that they are converting 58.3% of their third down opportunities, the highest rate in FBS. However, K-State's Bill Snyder is a Hall of Fame coach with a team that doesn't typically beat itself. The Wildcats enter the game ranked 11th nationally in turnover margin +6. It doesn't matter if you're 05 or 50, they're hard to handle, said TCU coach Gary Patterson, so we've got to get ready to play. These teams have split their last 10 meetings, but K-State HASNT defeated a top 10 team at home since 2006. FPI says after OU's loss, the Big 12's chances of producing an undefeated conference champion fell to 3%. Number 10 Auburn 51 at LSU 42 Saturday on CBS, 3:30 p.m. Did something click for LSU in its win at Florida last week? Nobody blinked, Coach Ed Orgeron said. I think the staff came together more last week than any week. The team came together. The leadership evolved. Through adversity, we became stronger. We felt that going into the game. Our guys say, we are not getting on this plane unless we win the game. That was new. We'll see whether that carries over to LSU's visit from Auburn, which has not won in Baton Rouge since 1999. Auburn is off to a hot start in SEC play, outscoring opponents 14,447 in 3 league wins, and quarterback Jarrett Stidham has thrown 5 touchdown passes and no interceptions in that span, posting a total QBR of 96.5. This is the first of 3 straight road games for Auburn, and to be taken seriously as a challenger to Alabama in the SEC West, Auburn can't lose to a beleaguered LSU team, no matter how inspired. FPI says Auburn is favored to win each of its next 3 road games by at least 70%. Number 8 Washington State 60 at Cal 33 Friday on ESPN and ESPN app 10:30 p.m. At Wazoo already avoided its biggest trap game last week when it went on the road and defeated Oregon 1 week after upsetting USC at home. The Cougars have scored at least 30 points in all of their games this season, but their defense has been most impressive. They rank in the top 15 in total defense 11th, 275.5 yards per game and opponent yards per play 13th, 4.5. Cal has lost its last 3 games after starting 30. The last time these teams played in Berkeley, though, Cal won 3,428 in 2015. In order to pull it off this time, Cal needs to find its offense against a second straight top 10 opponent, as the Golden Bears had just 93 total yards last week against Washington's stingy defense. FPI says, Wazoo has a 78.7% chance of beating the Bears and improving to 70 for the first time since 2001, Utah 41 at number 13 USC 51 Saturday on ABC and ESPN app, 8 p.m. At dawn to look ahead, USC. The Trojans travel to Notre Dame on October 21st, but it won't mean much for their CFP hopes if they head into that game with 2 losses. USC has no margin for error after losing to Washington State, but the Trojans have an 84% chance to win the Pac-12 South, and a win over the Utes would set them on track for that. USC's problem is that quarterback Sam Darnold has already thrown 9 interceptions and the Trojans have 13 total turnovers. That could be problematic against the Utes and the Fighting Irish, who have each forced 14 turnovers, tied for 4th most in FBS. Utah has won 2 of the past 3 meetings between these teams. Last year, Utah handed USC its 3rd loss of the season with a thrilling come-from-behind win. The Trojans squandered a 2,717 fourth-quarter lead. They didn't lose again until September 29 of this season against Wazoo. FPI says USC has an 86.9% chance of winning Saturday.